Today, I'm going to take you through 27 different things you can save money on if you aren't saving money on them already. There are 4 categories that we're going to be covering. The first one being cleaning, the second one being food and drink, the third is entertainment, and the fourth one is self-care. There's also one random one at the very end, but we have a long list before us, so let's get into it. The first item on our list is something that everybody buys, and that is laundry soap. I've been making my own laundry soap since 2018. I make 5 gallons at a time, and it costs me $5 for one big bucket. That's it. Some people argue that homemade laundry soaps don't have the same surfactants that help to remove deep stains and grease, but I haven't had much of an issue with my homemade detergent, and I have been using it for several years. So I'll include that recipe below in case you want to start making your own. The second thing that I don't buy for my home are dryer sheets. I haven't used dryer sheets in years, and what I use instead are wool dryer balls. I have had these dryer balls for, these are the very first dryer balls that I've ever purchased. I spent $30 on a 3-pack, which was a lot of money for me at the time, and I'm still using them today. I use 3 at a time. I just dab on a little bit of essential oil and into the dryer they go. The third item you can save money on are air fresheners. Now, ever since I moved over to using natural cleaning products in 2018, one thing that I noticed, it took about a year, but one thing that I noticed since making the switch is that I became really sensitive to chemical fragrances. I used to use things like air freshener all the time, and now I can't stand the smell. Like even just walking down a sidewalk and getting a blast of somebody's dryer exhaust from using dryer sheets, it makes me nauseous. And it's just one thing I wasn't prepared for. So air fresheners is something I definitely don't buy, and it's something you don't need to buy either. Chemical air fresheners are not good for your health, they're not good for the environment, and they can be easily swapped with something that's much more eco-friendly. Anything from a diffuser to a lampe berger. I just light it for a few minutes, and it's something that used to be used in hospitals during like the 1800s to purify the air. It clears out any odor that's been hovering in the air, and it just leaves a room fresh and bright and clean. And then lastly, in the bathroom, what we do in our household, if somebody goes number 2, is we light a match, and it works like a charm. A fourth item that you can do away with are cleaning sprays. I haven't bought a cleaning spray in I don't know how long, and it really surprised me when I learned that I don't need them. And I haven't missed them either. Every night when I clean my kitchen counter, I take a container with hot soapy water and I wash down my counters. If I've been preparing something like chicken, I use a Norwex cloth that is antibacterial, or I spray it down with a heavy duty vinegar mixture. It's very easy to make your own cleaning spray too with vinegar. You just need to put half vinegar, half water into a spray bottle. And if you want, you can add some essential oils to enhance the smell and to enhance the antibacterial power. So I like using tea tree oil or lemon oil for its antibacterial properties. The fifth thing is oven cleaners. I don't know if you knew this, but oven cleaners are incredibly toxic. I will link to the environmental workers group in the description below, and you can take a look at your oven cleaner that you use and see how they grade it. What I do when I'm cleaning the oven, I either use my steam function, but if my oven needs some extra love, I will clean it with baking soda and water. So I save money on oven cleaners that way. For number 6, we have cleaning cloths. I personally don't see the point in spending money on something that you're just going to use to clean up messes all the time. What I do is recycle old towels, like towels that are getting really ratty, and I'll just cut them up and I have a fresh batch of rags that way. And I use those rags to clean my counters. I use them to clean spills on the floor. I use them for pretty much everything except for cleaning my windows. Now we're gonna move over to our next category, which is food and drink. And the first item on this list, which just happens to be item number 7, is saving money on disposable items like napkins, paper plates, cups, Just start using what you have. I know it can be a really convenient way to clean up a party is just throw everything into the trash. But every time you throw something in the trash, you're throwing money away. Sometimes I fret that I have too many plates and I have too many bowls. I have just too much stuff. But it comes in handy when I have company over, especially during the holidays when there are more people here than usual. And we just do dishes all the time. Like we run the dishwasher a couple times a day, or there's somebody helping out. Now, when it comes to napkins, when it comes to those kind of special events, I do have paper napkins available for everybody because I don't have enough cloth napkins. But for everyday use, we use cloth napkins here at my table. Maybe you're having 30 people over for, I don't know, a big backyard barbecue. That would probably be a different case. If you're going to be ordering pizza and you just don't want to wash dishes, I mean, don't buy paper plates just for that kind of thing, right? Number 8, another saving opportunity is on containers. The beautiful thing about buying things in jars and tubs of yogurt and sour cream and even takeout sometimes is that everything comes in a container. And since everything comes in a container and you've already paid for it, why not save it and just stop spending money on other containers? And I guess it's different if you're going to be buying like a nice set of glass containers because it's kind of hard to buy containers to fit the larger leftovers. That's fair. But some things can just go into jars, like washed blueberries, they can go into a glass jar. If you are going to reuse opaque containers like yogurt containers, just make sure you label it so that you don't get confused and think it's yogurt when in reality it's something else, and then it ends up going to waste, which costs you money. Number 9, do we really need to buy bottled water? Now, okay, bottled water is something that I buy and I keep on hand just in case there's ever an emergency. So I always have bottled water on hand just in case I need it. For example, a couple times a year, my town has a boil water advisory, in which case we're hauling up the water and using that instead. Even though we have like a water filtration system, I always want to make sure I'm putting clean water in it as opposed to questionable water. But when I'm going out shopping, I always bring along my own water bottles from home with my own filtered water because, I don't know, some bottled water tastes funky, like Dasani. Ugh, gross. Some bottles of water cost like $2. It's crazy. So just plan ahead and bring along a water bottle. Number 10, if you are a soda drinker or a pop drinker, this one's gonna save you money and your health. So stop buying pop. If you have an addiction to carbonated beverages, a good way to go is a soda stream. I actually have never used one of these, but I think that's a better option than constantly buying the bottled and canned pops, sodas, because you're making it yourself. I don't know how much you save in the long run. So if you do have a soda stream, let me know if it does save you money because I'm really curious. Another thing that you can drink instead and swap it out for, which is so much healthier, is either water kefir or kombucha. So water kefir, if you're not aware, is a fermented drink. It's lightly fermented. It uses a live culture to brew it. During the second fermentation, it gets really fizzy and you can flavor it however you want. It's something that I serve to my kids, especially during the summer, and they love it. And I don't feel guilty that I'm giving them something sugary because during the fermentation, the sugar feeds the culture. And then kombucha is similar. It's a caffeinated beverage. It's made with tea, and you also need a SCOBY for that, which is to say a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. If kombucha is something you're interested in brewing, there is a fantastic book called, oh goodness, what's it called? I think it's just called Kombucha. I don't personally make kombucha, but I've read the book about making kombucha. But water kefir is the way I go, and when I drink those, I have no need for sodas. And even if I did have a need for sodas, I wouldn't buy them anyway because they're just so bad for our bodies. Number 11, another thing I never buy are seasoning blends. Now this is something my mom buys a lot of. She sees like a chicken Parmesan blend or Cajun spice mix. She just can't help herself and she buys these seasoning blends, which are so easy to make. yourself. You just need to have a good base of spices, and most people have all the common spices available to them. If I were to make a quick seasoning blend to rub a chicken with, I would put some paprika, some garlic powder, some salt and pepper in a bowl and mix that together and rub that into the chicken. And it's the same thing with herb blends. Like, you just need to put a pinch of this, a pinch of that into a dish and mix it together, add some salt, and there you have it. You have your herb blend without any stabilizers or MSG or any of the other things that get sneaked into commercial seasoning blends. Try making your own if you aren't already. And if you're not too sure of the best flavors that go together, there's a wonderful book called The Flavor Bible, and it will help you kickstart your flavor journey and mixing and pairing flavors together. Number 12 is a big way to save money in the fruit and vegetable department, and that is not buying pre-cut fruits and vegetables, or even like the platters, the ready-to-make platters. If you're looking to save money, it's an easy switch to make. The last one in this category are tea blends. I used to buy blended teas all the time. I'd go to David's Tea, which is like a Canadian chain. I don't think it's available in the States, but I'd go to David's Tea and they'd have the most incredible assortment of teas as part of their offer. And it took me a while to start looking at the ingredients in these blended teas, and some of them were quite horrific. And one thing with tea blends is that a lot of them have natural flavors. And there's nothing natural about natural flavors, by the way. So just like my seasonings, I have built up my base availability. So when I want to blend a tea together, I just need to add a handful of this and a handful of that. And I also try to look at what I'm trying to accomplish with the tea. If I want something calming, then I will put things together with calming properties. Like a chai tea, it would be black tea and some cloves and cinnamon and maybe some ginger. And I don't know, like, you can find so many different recipes online for a chai tea blend. Like the tea that I'm drinking now is a blend that I threw together just kind of haphazardly, and it's with oat straw, lemon balm, spearmint, and chamomile, and it's really good. I had a friend over when I was making this, and I just gave her a jar, and she wants me to make her more because it's a really good tea. It's so relaxing. Actually, I really needed that tea. It's grounding. We are now halfway through the video, and I'm just realizing that I forgot to introduce myself. So I am Sylvia from Vintage Kitchen Vixen, where I share old-fashioned tips, skills, and recipes. If you have liked this video so far, please take a quick second to hit the thumbs up, because it really helps to tell the algorithm to push out this video to more people, especially people that can benefit from these tips. Moving on to number 14, which will close this category, is delivery fees. I have a confession here. This is something that I have spent a lot of money on, just because I enjoy the convenience of having my food delivered to me, because I do have 2 young children. So when I need to go and pick up food, that means I need to, especially in the winter, I need to bundle my kids up, buckle them in the car. When we get to the place, I need to take them out of the car. We go inside, and then I have to wrestle them back in the car with an armful of food. And then we drive home, and then I have to change them out of their coats. So it's a big production, and it just felt so much easier for the food to be brought to me. And then I calculated just how much I was spending in delivery fees, and it was at least $30 a month, like around $32 a month, that I could be spending on something else or just saving. So I'm not spending money on delivery fees anymore. If I'm going to spend that extra money on takeout, I am just going to pull on my boots, and I'm going to get in my car, and I'm going to go pick up my food and enjoy the extra $30 at the end of the month. Maybe I'll put it towards a nice dinner. Because yeah, that's the cost of a takeout dinner for us, for my family. So yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. The next category we're going to be focusing on is entertainment. So number 15, one way that you can save money is by not going to the cinema. Now, I get it, going to the movies can be a nice way to get out of the house and enjoy the latest feature film. But if you wait a few months, it's going to be available online. You can pay, you pay a fraction of the price to get it streamed to your computer. Because I don't know, is it just me? Does anybody else miss video rental shops? I miss going into a store and I miss perusing all the different titles and picking them out. I don't like streaming as much. I don't know. Like, I spent as much time in my living room trying to figure out what movie to watch as I would perusing through a store. I don't know. I miss the video rental shops. So if you miss them too, let me know in the comments below, so I don't feel quite so alone. But yeah, when you go to the movies, it's more than just the cost of this ticket, because you're buying popcorn because you walk into a movie theater and that's all you smell and you want to eat it. So I guess you could eat before you go out for the movie and fill up so that you're not tempted by the concession stands. I just find that I end up spending like $70 when I go out to see a movie, especially you got all the special seats, or you got the audio visual seats, or the big extra large seats. There's just so many ways that they get you at the movie theater, and it just turns out to be a really expensive night, which is fine if you want a special date night. But I think if you're gonna spend $70 on a date, do something else. Like, go bowling. Number 16, another way you can save money is by not buying magazines. My mom is guilty of buying so many magazines, but she always says it's for her hair salon. But I know she reads every single magazine, so at least it's a business write-off for her. But then it just gets cluttered. Like, she has, I don't know how many years of magazines that she has lying around. Maybe you really enjoy the articles, in which case get the magazine, but it's an easy way to save money. Just stay strong and power through that checkout line so that you don't get tempted by the tabloids. Number 17, this is a really easy way to save money, and it is simply not giving in to ad-free subscriptions. I remember a time where you didn't get any ads on YouTube, and then for a while you were able to get around it, but now it's gotten a lot harder. And I mean, so many creators make money off of YouTube, so I'm not saying that I'm complaining about the ads, but for $10 a month, you're gonna have an ad-free experience and watch your favorite videos without any interruptions. It's the same thing with Spotify, and I've had Spotify Premium, and it was wonderful to pick whatever song I wanted and be able to skip through as many songs as I wanted and not to be bombarded by ads. But I've just adapted to the inconveniences. I still get music that I wouldn't have been able to get like 20 years ago when I was sitting in front of the radio and waiting to hit record on my favorite song that was playing. Oh, and then yeah, games is another one that they get you. Games sucker you in so many different ways. Number 18 is one that I think everybody says during these kinds of videos, and that is cable. I haven't paid for cable once in my life, and I'm not going to be starting anytime soon, especially with so many of the subscriptions available. I don't even pay for subscriptions. Like, maybe every so often I'll pay for 1 month of Netflix, but then I cancel it right away because I don't want to pay for it. It's with so many of these different availabilities on offer, why pay for cable? Number 19 is a big one for me. I am a huge bookworm, and I have quite the collection of books in my home. So this is one area where I save a lot of money. If there is a book that I want to buy, I do not buy it brand new. Usually when you're buying a book from Amazon, there are options to buy used copies of the book at a fraction of the price. Sometimes it's closer to the original price tag, in which case I usually just spend the $3 extra and I buy a new copy. But there are services like Thrift Books, which they also resell through Amazon. You're able to buy the books used, and yeah, you save a lot of money that way. Another thing that I do is, wherever possible, I will get the books from the library first, especially if they're books I've never read before. I don't want to invest the money in the book without making sure that I really like it. So books that I love, I will go out and buy after, especially if I know I'm going to reread them again, or if I'm going to reference them a lot. So those are my tips for saving money on books for all the readers out there. And then the last one in this category is number 20, and that's smart technology. The smartest technology that I have is my phone, and I don't invest in anything else. It's something that people have come to rely on a lot in the last few years. There's one company I worked for, and one Christmas they got everybody in the company. It was a small company, it was a startup, but they got everybody a Google Home. And I installed the Google Home, and it was wonderful. I'd just say, "Hi, hey Google, play this song for me," and it was really convenient. But then I learned a couple years later that I basically had a little spy sitting in my midst. But I am not going to willingly give money and buy smart technologies that, I don't know, lock my doors and turn on my lights and make my life more convenient. I am a Luddite in some sense. I'm old-fashioned, and I don't want any of that near me. So if it's for you, that's great, but it's not for me, and I save money in that area because I am not going out and I'm not spending money on any of it. So the last category is self-care. I save a lot of money here. I also invest a lot of money in self-care by buying ingredients to make a lot of my own things. But the first item on this list, which just happens to be number 21, are wet wipes. Now, okay, this is more for the parents that are out there, parents of young children. And for me, I stopped buying wet wipes for my little one. One thing that I noticed during a hospital stay is that they don't use wet wipes. They would just use hot cloths to clean up everything. And in the very beginning, I also used cloth diapers. But then once the solid food started, I'm like, okay, I don't want to clean these diapers anymore. But I do use wet cloths. And then I have a little warmer, which is probably unnecessary, but I do have a little warmer because then I have warm, wet cloths that are ready to go, and it's just more comfortable, especially in the winter. And it's just easy access, and I don't need to use wet wipes. And the only time I do use them is when I'm traveling, when I'm out and about, because I'm not going to tote around a bag of wet cloths, which I imagine I could, but I know myself and I know I would forget them. They'd probably like grow mildew in my purse or something. But that's another thing to bring up is so many times I see like parents whose kids have sticky fingers in a restaurant, instead of bringing them to the bathroom to wash their hands, bring out the wet wipes. That's something I don't do. I just bring them to the bathroom and I wash their hands and their faces. I spent money to set myself up with my wipes, and definitely paid itself off, and I've saved a good chunk of change on wet wipes. But that doesn't apply to everyone, so I'm gonna move on to number 22. One thing that I don't buy anymore is shaving cream. You can use soap instead. So it's probably different if you're a man. I don't think I would recommend using regular soap if you're going to shave your beard. But for the ladies, you can get away with using soap. And then just be sure to moisturize after. For me, I just use whatever herbal oil I'm feeling like, or a homemade body butter. Which brings us to number 23. Something that you don't have to buy are body lotions and body butters, because you can make your own at home. And even if you don't want to go through the motions of making your own creams and lotions, you can just get away with using oil. Well, maybe not on your face. I don't know. I've never used it on my face. I have my own facial moisturizer, but I'm not talking about facial moisturizer here. So an herbal oil, it's something that's very easy to make. It's a matter of infusing some good olive oil with flowers or herbs. So I do it with violet leaves in the spring, or dandelion flowers, or calendula. You just let them dry out a bit and then you pour oil over it. But I'll probably make a video about that in the future. Number 24, if you like taking baths, one thing that you don't have to spend money on are bath bombs. Bath bombs are another thing that I started making recently. I love slipping into a bath, and bath bombs can get pretty pricey. So I went out and I bought my own molds, and now I make them myself. Number 25, there might be some contention around this, but something that you don't need to spend money on are over-the-counter medications. Often when you have things like a headache, like you can get to the root of the problem. It's often because you're dehydrated, or maybe you're drinking too much coffee. is just your body's way of saying something's wrong. So examine your life, what you've been doing, what's happening in that day, and remedy it. As for colds, like, you want your body to be able to express these things. So instead of suppressing them, let your body do its job and flush you clean. And start and learn how to support your body with teas. Work with a naturopath or an herbalist to help you get started. Or just start studying it, because it's going to save your health, because all of these over-the-counter medications, they have side effects. They do take a toll on the body, especially if you use them a lot, and they're expensive, and sometimes they're not always available. Number 26, one way you can save a lot of money is to not dye or highlight your hair. Hairdressing bills have gotten so expensive lately. I used to spend a lot of money on highlights. Actually, I am luckier than most people because my mom is an exceptional hairstylist, and she always highlighted my hair, but there were periods in my life where I paid somebody else to do it because of the distance. It's expensive. So I grew out all of my highlights, and I don't need any of those chemicals in my hair. So that closed up the final category. So we have one random item left, and like the wet wipes, this one is geared towards parents, but I guess grandparents too, of younger children, and that is Play-Doh. I don't spend money on Play-Doh. I make it myself at home. I color it however I want, and I usually just have one color that I make at a time so that they don't get mushed together and turn into an ugly brown. But yeah, I don't spend money on Play-Doh. So it's also a fun activity that you can do with your kids. Oh yeah, and then on that note, if you haven't bought any, if they don't have these things already, they don't need any of the Play-Doh accessories. Just give them some cookie cutters, give them a rolling pin, give them plastic forks that you get from your takeout, or like a garlic press is another good one. My kids love using the garlic press to make grass or hair for their Play-Doh creations. That's my list of 27 things that you can save money on. Hopefully you're walking away with some new ideas of ways that you can start saving money. And if that's the case, let me know which one is your favorite. If there are any that you would add to the list, also let me know, because I love learning from all of you. So please share your experiences below. Lastly, I know there's so much more that I could have added to this list, especially in the food and drink category. And that's because I already have a video on 30 things that you can make from scratch instead of buy. If you haven't checked that video out already, it's going to pop up on the screen so you can watch that next. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.